Have you ever wondered why some people can push your buttons so easily? Why one word, one look, one silence can throw you off balance? It's not because you're weak, it's because you've been trained to react. But what if you didn't? What if the next time someone tried to provoke you, you remained still? What if your silence became your shield, your power? Because true strength isn't loud, it's calm. And today, we dive into what the Stoics knew all along, that the most dangerous man is the one who doesn't need to react. They crave your anger. They feed on it, because when you're angry, it means they still control you. And nothing strips you of power faster than the moment you lose your temper. It's not always about defeating you. Sometimes they just want to provoke, to see if they can stir something in you, to pull a reaction from the very place you once vowed was already under control. They drain your energy not with fists, but with subtle weapons, words, silence, games that may not look like war but feel just as damaging. And every time you respond with rage, every time you yell, snap, or type that long message, you confirm one thing: they still matter to you. You become visible, reachable, predictable. Anger becomes the leash, and they hold it until you learn to sever it yourself. Stoicism never demands numbness. It demands that you remain unmoved. There's a difference. You're not here to be emotionless. You're here to be in control, to master your fire, not to put it out, not to ignore it, but to burn without losing form. To feel the flames and still stand still. Because if they can trigger your anger, they control your emotional state. And if they can control your state, they can steer your decisions, shape your words, influence your path. Marcus Aurelius knew this when he wrote, "Teen, how much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The trigger will pass, but the damage done in anger, the words, the broken trust, the bridges you burn, those stay." Anger shows up wearing power's mask, but it's hollow. It's reactive, it's noisy, it's insecurity dressed like a lion. Because if you were truly strong, why would you need to raise your voice? If you were really in control, why would you need revenge? If you were centered, why would their opinion move you? The Stoics understood, you don't control others. You barely even control the world. But the most crucial battlefield, your own mind, is yours to command. And if your mind still trembles when disrespected, if your chest still tightens when ignored, if your blood boils when misunderstood, then you're not free yet. They still own pieces of you. You're still walking through life handing strangers the keys to your peace. That's not strength. That's emotional slavery. The slavery where anyone at any time can press your buttons, and you perform. You explode. You crumble for their entertainment. Why? Because anger is a performance. A desperate need to prove, defend, punish. But all of that stems from a single tragic belief that your peace depends on how they treat you. It doesn't. Your peace is born from discipline, from the choice to say, you won't get what you're looking for from me. Your words won't shake me. Your silence won't disturb me. Your games won't lure me in. Because I'm not here to react, I'm here to rule myself. Seneca once said, "But no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." You're being tested, not just by the world, but by the parts of you that still feel fragile. And anger is the first weakness that disguises itself as power. It feels like fire, but it leaves you cold. So what do? When they betray you, mock you, twist your words, pretend you don't exist, what do? You pause, you breathe, you don't attack, you observe, you don't react, you respond. You turn inward, not to hide but to anchor. Because the storm isn't out there, it's inside. And until you can sit through that storm without flinching, you'll always be at the mercy of someone else's chaos. You don't need to get even. You need to get silent. You don't need revenge. You need restraint. You don't need to destroy them. You need to destroy the part of you that still lets them define your worth. This is the warrior's way, to be so calm, so still, so deeply rooted, that your silence alone humbles those who once tried to provoke you. They'll wonder why they no longer get a rise out of you, why their words fall flat, why their chaos dies in the presence of your stillness. It's because you've changed. You no longer respond to disrespect. You don't chase closure. You don't seek validation from those committed to misunderstanding you. You let it all burn, and you walk through the ashes untouched. Because you finally understand anger was never your strength. It was your attachment and detachment. That's the ultimate weapon. Let them speak. Let them twist your story. Let them believe what they want. You don't need to fix their perception. You just need to protect your peace. Because the second you act out in anger, you lose clarity. And when clarity is gone, your power follows. The Stoic doesn't stand tall because he's numb, but because he's disciplined enough to not let feelings run him. You are not a slave to emotion, not a puppet of approval, not a mirror for their dysfunction. You are the mountain, they are the wind. Let them blow. You remain. That's the difference between reaction and response, between instinct and discipline, between a boy and a man. And yes, they'll try again. They'll test your silence. They'll poke at your calm. They'll attempt to drag you back into the fire they live in. But you've outgrown all that. You don't raise your voice. Your presence speaks for you. You don't need to make them regret. Your progress already does. You don't need to teach them. Life will. Your job is to stay still, focused, grounded, unmoved. Because in the end, you don't win by beating them. You win by mastering the part of you that needed them to lose. That's what it means to let go. Not to forget, not to pretend it didn't hurt, but to stop letting it own you. You are not your past. You're not your pain. You're not the reaction you had in the heat of the moment. You are the one who chooses what happens next. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And if you can master that, you master everything. Let the world scream. Let chaos rise. Let the weak provoke. Let the noise get louder. You don't rise to meet it. You fall back into stillness. You return to your center. You become unshakable. Because the only power they ever held was the power you gave them in your reaction. Take it back. Walk through life with calm eyes. Speak less. Mean more. And when they try to pull you into battle, let your silence remind them of who you are now. Not because you're cold, but because you're finally in control. Let it go. This is what it means to walk the Stoic path, to hold your fire, not because you lack passion, but because you've mastered when, where, and if it should burn. You've outgrown the games. You've stepped beyond the noise. You've let go, not to avoid, but to rise. So when they test you again, and they will, respond not with reaction, but with restraint, with silence, with control, because the one who controls himself controls everything. Stay still, stay grounded, stay stoic.